Hi, this is a video explaining Unit 2, Task 3, Influences on Population. So as always, and this is the Level A version, as always, you're going to start by filling out the top portion, so your name, the date, tell me the topic, hint, the topic is population, and then read the skill right here and tell me the skill in your own words. Then you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 4 at how good you think you are at that skill. Once you're done with that, you're going to read this first paragraph. It's talking about a deer population on an island forest reserve. Go ahead and pause this video and read that paragraph, and then press play when you're ready to continue. Okay, great. So you read the paragraph, and what's the problem here? So there's a deer population on an island. The island has excellent vegetation, so the deer have lots of food, but the food supply has limits. They're on an island, they can only eat what's on that island. And so the people who manage the forest, they're worried that overgrazing will lead to mass starvation. What does that really mean? They're worried that because the deer population is growing, it's going to get too big and they're going to run out of food. They're going to eat too much and run out of food, which is going to lead to mass starvation. A lot of deers dying because they don't have enough food. So, what's the solution? What do they decide to do? They decide to bring in natural predators. In this case, what is the predator? Wolves. In 1971, they decide to bring in 10 wolves to try to control the deer population. In other words, they're worried that the deer population is going to be too big. So, what's one way to kind of make it smaller to keep it under control? Bring in predators. The wolves are going to come, they're going to kill a couple deer, they're going to keep that deer population controlled so that the deer don't run out of food. So, the results of the program are shown in the following table. The population change is the number of deer born minus the number of deer that died during that year. So you're going to take the number of births and subtract it from the number of deaths. We have two different numbers for death. One is predation, sounds a lot like predator, so that's the number of deer that were killed by wolves. And then you're going to subtract it also by starvation, your other death number. So that's how many deer died because they ran out of food. So you can see in this first example, that's exactly what we did here to calculate the population change. We took the number of births and we subtracted the number of deaths from it. So 800 births minus the 400 deer that died from being attacked by wolves, minus the 100 deer that died from starving. Overall, you're going to get 300. So in 1971, when we consider all the births and all the deaths, the deer population changed by going up by 300. We can confirm that by looking at these two numbers from 1971 to 1972. The deer population increased by 300. So you're going to fill out all these empty boxes, calculating the population change. Then you're going to do some analysis questions. You're basically being asked to look at the table and think about what's going on and describe it. So think about what happened to the deer population between 1971 and 1980. Did it go up? Did it go down? Did it go up and then down? What happened? Then you're going to look at the wolf population. When was the wolf population the highest? And then if you look at the other numbers in the table, were there any relationships between when the wolf population was the highest and the number of deer? Like what were the deer doing in that time that the wolf population was the highest? Then you're going to think about what would happen if the deer on the island what would happen to the deer if the wolves had not been introduced? And then you're going to think about zero population growth, which is basically when the population births minus deaths equals 0, because the births and deaths are the same. You're going to think about which year was the deer population closest to zero population growth. In other words, in which year were the births minus the deaths closest to 0. Then in part 2, you're going to do a little bit of work about New York City populations. You have two different maps, so you'll click through to those, 1, 2, and you have this graph on the race and ethnicity makeup of New York. So you're going to use that information to answer these questions. And you're going to define population size, population density, and if you need help with that, you can go back to the other video, which is all about the lesson on populations. That's on YouTube as well.